Yo, what up? It's Teddy, Caravan Crypto, and today we got some good news. But first, let's look at the market. So, Bitcoin is at 9,500. It was at 92, 93. I mean, it was under 94, really under 93.50 for a long time, man. Um, this thing was super sideways. I wouldn't say we're out of the woods yet. We're not in Kansas yet, Dorothy, but we are looking at some pretty good trends here. And on the 343 chart, we got white over the blue right here. You know what to do. We even broke out of this 231 line. And on the 343 chart, that's the big chart. That's the big boy chart. It's looking good. Okay, it's looking good. So I think with today's news, which we're going to get into, we're probably looking at some substantial movement in the coming weeks, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong, I think with the economy looking the way it is, I really truly think, just like all the other markets in the world, damn near, we're headed for some kind of correction, at some point. How much will that affect Bitcoin? I'm not sure. And the reason why is because the Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, if you look at market cycles, right? So every market has a cycle, has a breakout, a breakdown, and a flat line. So it goes up, it comes down, and then it stays flat. And then it goes up again, and then it comes down, and it stays flat. And if we look at Bitcoin, like on the weekly chart, right? You could see these are like, you can't really see it on these smaller ones. I got to zoom all the way in, but it broke out, it broke down, all the way down, and then it went flat, and then it broke out and then broke down. Kind of had some breakouts a little bit. We had this March crash over here, but it relatively flattened out over here. So it broke out and then it kind of flattened out over here, and we're in that flat right now. So the next thing to do is a breakout. If you look at the cyclical pattern on almost all the other markets, the chart looks like that. It looks like a huge, gigantic breakout. It looks like that. All right. Looks like we're really at the top here, and it's not looking pretty. It's looking like we're supposed to be breaking down after that, and that's what I think is going to happen with housing, with commodities, with you name it. Okay, you name it. It's going to happen. Okay. So at least in my opinion, I'm not giving out financial advice. I'm just a random guy on YouTube. Do your own research. All right. Anyway, the thing with crypto is that because we're so flat, the next thing to do is break out. And if you've been following market trends for a number of years, and you know this, then you're waiting for it. And so you might want to exit out of the stock market. Or, like if you're a stock trader, people who are stock traders, they're looking for somewhere else to put their money to hedge, one, against the US dollar, which because of the printing that's been going on, inflation is up to bat, right? It's up next in the lineup. All right. So you don't want to keep it in dollars. Two, the housing market, I mean, everything, all loan markets, everything is coming to a screeching halt at some point. Okay. So you don't want to put it in that. Commodities isn't looking that great. You don't want to keep it in that. Consumer confidence in the market is dwindling. It's on a teetering edge. It's probably going to drop off a cliff when this unemployment stuff dries up, and if people are not able to go back to work, and if the CARES Act is not extended or reinstituted, people are going to be tight with their money. So consumer spending will drop off a cliff. Where do you put your money? In my opinion, just looking at market fundamentals, like just looking at the chart, not even doing like heavy technical analysis here. I'm just seeing that we're headed for, it's going to go like this. It's supposed to go like this. Maybe it kind of goes like down a little bit, a little bit of violent action, but then it starts to do that in an upward trend. And that's what cryptocurrency is looking like. So I could see a lot of folks jumping out of markets and jumping into this one. Let's look at some of the coins that we have. Flexicoin, which who knows what the hell that is. 25% in the last 24 hours. Yo, you're not doing that in the stock market. Not in the top 100 coins, not in the top 70 stocks. You're not doing that. 17% on Digibyte, 14% on Maker. And dude, this is pennies. Bro, we're not happy about this. This is like seeing a sign on the freeway, that you're going to get to the place you want to go to in about 300 miles. This is nothing. This is nothing. If Bitcoin did 10 to 15% per day for the next 4 or 5 days, now we're talking. That's the crypto market. So keep that in mind. So anyway, there's some bullish news. I could give you that news myself, but I think Ivan on Tech really spoke about it well, and we're gonna play it, and then I'm gonna add some commentary to it to kind of break it down. But yeah, check this out.
The big, fat and juicy news of today, and maybe this is the most important news of this whole year, to be honest with you, because banks are right now entering the crypto space. Banks are right now very serious about everything that is going on in our space, and they're here to stay. I'm telling you, they are here to stay, and they just gonna grow bigger and bigger. Why? Because number one, they're well funded. I mean, obviously you do see thousands of employees, thousands and thousands of employees. These guys have the capital to enter an industry, and they don't even have to build all their technology from scratch. They can just purchase different startups and purchase different technology and get into this market very quickly. So right now we do see regulators coming out and saying that it is allowed for banks to provide crypto services. So what we're seeing right now is OCC, the Office of Comptroller of the Currency, formally stating that nationally chartered banks can hold cryptocurrencies for their customers. From safe deposit boxes to virtual vaults, we must ensure banks can meet the financial services needs of their customers today. And you know that today customers do want to create all kinds of new coins. That's number one. Not only do you want to hold, you also want to create. So that is a big chunk.
Okay. Before we get into the creating the coins, so the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency is saying that banks can custody coins, and what that means is that so look, when you open up let's say a Bitcoin wallet, right? When you literally, you don't have to ask any permission, you don't have to provide any ID, you just download an app, and now you can send and receive Bitcoin. Obviously you can't send any Bitcoin if you don't have any, so the first thing you got to do is receive it, and you receive it by purchasing it on an exchange. So anyway, when you open the app and you hold, you open it, you have it, before you're able to access your wallet, you have to create what's called a private key. And this private key is anywhere from 12 to 16 random words. Excuse me. And you write down those random words. Now, let's say you downloaded it on your phone, you got 10 Bitcoin in there, and all of a sudden your phone ends up in the toilet. Oh my gosh, all your Bitcoin is gone. No, it's not, because you held on to your private key, and you literally download that app anywhere in the world, and you type in that private key into the app, and you access the Bitcoin network. And once you type in that private key, the Bitcoin network recognizes, oh, you are the authenticated user for this particular wallet. Here you go. Here's access to your balance. And boom, your 10 Bitcoin pop up, or 1 Bitcoin, or 0.1 Bitcoin, or whatever it is, 0.0003412 Bitcoin, whatever you had. So with what they're saying with custodying is that banks would be able to hold on to and secure those private keys. I know it sounds like a cool thing, like, oh, the banking industry getting involved with crypto, holding on to our private keys, great. Now it's going to be secure. I would disagree. I would love to see the system from which they are holding on to those private keys, whether it's in a vault or whatever. Now, let's say they store it physically in vaults and safety deposit boxes. Now we're back to, the 90s bank robberies, except instead of people pulling dollars out, they'll be pulling little pieces of paper with these random words on it, typing in these words onto the Bitcoin network, and pulling, people's accounts. And I don't think that's a cool thing to do. If there's one place where you can get, even if it was just 10 private keys to different accounts, That's worth it for somebody to spend their time and effort and energy risking life and liberty to go and get, access to those funds. I don't think that this is like, one, it's not the intended purpose for cryptocurrencies in general, especially Bitcoin, to have banks involved in keeping private keys. Like, the idea of the concept behind creating Bitcoin is that you are your own bank, right? Not that you outsource the security of your funds to another bank. So I don't know if that's the best thing to do. Now, he's going to get into creating coins, or he just started getting into each company, each client, major client of a bank wanting to make their own coins. And we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Of their customers. It's not only retail customers, it's also companies who create their own currencies. I think PayPal will create their own currency. I think MasterCard will also create their own currency. So it's one type of customer. Another type of customer is obviously retail. It is just you and I. We have our cryptos. We have them on exchanges now. In the future, banks will try to attract us as customers as well. And also, there is a third type of customer, and that is the exchanges that we have in crypto. For example, Gemini, Coinbase, that are right now working with JP Morgan. As you all remember the news, the JP Morgan right now is collaborating with Coinbase and Gemini to provide banking services. So this is what the regulator is saying, that, hey, you guys should be able to provide these services. This opinion clarifies that banks can continue satisfying their customers' needs for safeguarding their most valuable assets, which today, for tens of millions of Americans, includes cryptocurrency. 100%. And here is where they truly see that they have missed out. Because crypto industry has been speaking to the banks for a decade already. I know that in Sweden, the biggest exchanges here have been trying to explain crypto to banks since 2011, since 2012. At that time, the banks just brushed it off and said, hey, go away. What are you doing here on my very fantastic, very, very clean doorstep? You see my palace here, my banking palace, and you come here with your dirty shoes, with your dirty cryptocurrency shoes. Go away from my palace.
Dude, that is exactly what it was, man. I remember in early 2018, dude, Bitcoin was still at like 15,000 or something like that. And I went into the bank because they froze my account because I spent $136 at Marshall's, dude. And they froze my account. They said it was unusual spending. Yo, I pay, like, people that shoot with me on projects, I pay them, $500, $600, $1,000, whatever, per shoot. I spent $136 at Marshall's, and they froze my account. So I got to take the time out of my day, got to waste time to go tell a teller at my bank, yo, my card is frozen. What's wrong with you? And so I'm sitting there, and it takes him like 20 minutes for him to unfreeze my account. And I'm talking to him, and I say, hey, man, you ever heard of crypto? And he says, I kind of heard about it. And I said, look, man, it's going to put you guys out of business. I'm just going to let you know right now. And he was like, oh, really? He's kind of arrogant about it. And I was like, yeah, man, because look, with crypto, I don't got to worry about somebody freezing my account for my funds. Look, I'm wasting time right here, right now. Look how much time I'm wasting driving over here to come talk to you about spending my own money. He said, yeah, I mean, that's a valid point. And it just brushed it off. Like, and that's the thing, man, is that you have a lot of people who are in these industries, and they think because of buildings, because they have titles, because they got, a 401k or benefits, that is industry security. And it's not. It's clearly not. You are going to see, look, when the general public adopts crypto, not when the banks adopt crypto, when the general public adopts crypto, you are going to see a massive layoff of tellers, because there's just no need for them anymore. When we move to a cashless society, when we're not taking checks anymore, when checks are not a thing anymore, and you only need to have an app, whether it's the digital US dollar or any other cryptocurrency, there will be absolutely no need for tellers. People won't have to walk into any bank to fix problems on their account. If I'm using Bitcoin, at any given moment, I spend Bitcoin. And no one hacks my Bitcoin wallet. Nobody could do that. It's impossible. to hack a Bitcoin wallet. And so, people just won't need to go to the bank. My funds will never be frozen. I'll never have a payment that wasn't supposed to get paid. It'll never happen because Bitcoin as a network is completely secure. The banks needed to get involved with cryptocurrency at an early date. Bitcoin has no need for banks whatsoever. It's operated the same way since 2009 till 2020. The banks had nothing to do with it, didn't want anything to do with it, punched down on it for years, disrespected it for years. And so now getting involved with it, like this is their last hurrah. They got to come up with something that they could do in the cryptocurrency space for the average everyday customer, or they will go the way of the horse and buggy, the payphone. Okay, they will go the way of outhouses because they're absolutely irrelevant. Other than lending, we're going to get into some of the financial instruments that they offer, but or some better alternatives.
This is what they told us. Then you did see cryptocurrencies just grow and grow and grow, while this guy in the palace, they're sitting there, they're seeing all of these different currencies grow, they're seeing how far this industry is coming with the speed and how fast it is, and right now they're feeling, hey, nobody cares about our palace. It's almost like now they're saying, hey guys, please come into our palace. Guys, come on, don't use Tether. Why are you using Tether? Tether is good, but our bank is better, but it's not. It cannot do international transactions to anywhere in the world. It cannot do permissionless finance to anywhere in the world. So you see that there is a clear shift. People are realizing, hey.
Look, just to touch on the permissionless finance. First of all, if you're not subscribing to Ivan on Tech, man, subscribe, bro. Subscribe to Ivan on Tech. Watch his videos. He's a programmer in the cryptocurrency space. Writes code, can teach you how to write code, etc. Follow him. I follow him. I got information from Ivan on Tech, and it's valuable to me. Okay, and if you're listening to me and you think that I have any value to offer you, I'm telling you, subscribe to Ivan on Tech. So anyway, he was talking about permissionless systems. Now look, man, I think the number's at 4 billion people on the planet are not eligible for engaging in global finance or even traditional finance. They don't have the proper identification, birth certificates, passports, ID, in order to engage with the banking system. Dude, 4 billion people on the planet. Look, man, if you have anything that 4 billion people can't use, it's probably not going to be that viable, especially if you've been around for 100 years and you still can't service 4 billion people. And I'm not talking about because they can't afford it. I'm just talking about they're just born ineligible. They're just born ineligible. Bro, that can't last. That can't last. And Bitcoin, because it's just an app, and other cryptocurrencies, because they're just apps, anyone in the world can download them without any permission. With no permission. Anybody can engage in the system with no permission. So look, you have a traditional banking with all of its buildings, facilities, people with titles, awards, accolades, mentions, and publications, and all these frivolous things that don't really give it the value that it deserves, or that don't really portray its true value to society. You have this traditional banking system which can only serve less than half of the world, and it runs the global economy, right? And then you have Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which immediately, right off the bat, day one, had the ability to service all 7 billion people on the planet. Which one do you think has more viability?
We can use stable coins. We can use DeFi for lending, for borrowing, for credit. It's all peer-to-peer, and nobody cares about your palace. Just like nobody cares about nobility nowadays. You know that nobility were very important people in the past few centuries. You did see the palaces. They had very fantastic, impressive palace. They were sitting there. They were making all kinds of rules and regulations. They were respected people. And right now, nobody really cares about nobility. I mean, it's still fantastic if you are nobility, you have a very nice last name, family name, that's fantastic. But in terms of having power in the society, nobility is not important. Why? Because everyone just moved from the countryside. Nobility was mostly in palaces on the countryside. You had your workers working for you. You had this economy on the countryside. Then people just left and established cities and then established global trade, while the nobility was sitting in their palaces thinking that they are the center of the world, and nobody simply cared about them in a few decades. In a few decades, everyone was already in the cities doing global trade. This, dirty merchants. People called these merchants dirty merchants. Who are you? A dirty merchant? You're trying to make a profit by trading, huh? You're a dirty merchant. Go away from my nice palace. But then these dirty merchants, they go on ships, they go around the globe, they start trading, they start making all kinds of profits, and now they're more important than the nobility. Right now, it is businessmen, entrepreneurs who rule the world in many instances. You have to understand that. And the same thing right now is happening to the banking sector. They were very important, they still are very important, but it's just that they are witnessing this shift yet again. Obviously, nobody will be able to compete with them. They are a cartel. They are a cartel. You cannot compete with them in their industry. You just have to create something different where they are irrelevant. So this is like all of the big businesses today, for example, Google, for example, Apple, for example, Facebook. You cannot really compete with them. They have such a network effect. They have such a business moat. It's called a moat. Where you have a business and you have some kind of advantage, you have a moat that is very difficult for newcomers to overcome. So, for example, Google has such a network effect. If you want to start your own search engine, it will be very difficult. It will be impossible. So the new Google will not beat Google. It will make it irrelevant. Just like Netflix did not beat Blockbuster, they made them irrelevant. So here's the thing. It's fantastic to have a business moat, but the issue is that somebody can just walk around your castle and your moat. That's important. That's very important. And that is exactly what's going on right now with banks, because they have a fantastic moat. They have a fantastic defense against the different attackers who want to compete with them. And that defense is, number one, having a cartel where you just have a few banks per country, and it's impossible to get a banking license. It's literally impossible. It is very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. There is so much regulation. There is so much hurdles you have to overcome. You need to have 100 people only working for you in compliance. So obviously nobody will do that. Instead, you see new industries building up, new ventures, new currencies, new financial paradigms. That is what's replacing these kinds of institutions. So,
when you extinguish the possibility for equity in whatever that you do, anything that you set up, you are going to create rivaling innovation. It would have been beautiful to see a banking system that practiced fairness and equity for all people, and on its own put itself out of business by transitioning into a permissionless peer-to-peer system. And it would have happened a long time ago. But because you have a small group of people trying to hold on to a tremendous amount of control over a network, over a system, you force innovation to work against you. And that's what we have. Ivan on Tech, bro, he's absolutely right. Ivan was right on the money. It's not that Bitcoin, how could I put it, man? It's like Bitcoin was created in an answer to a system that focused on excluding people instead of including people. Instead of trying to figure out, man, how can we include as many people as possible, they excluded as many people as possible. And then, the ones that they would allow to include, they exploited, right? And so, and people got tired of it. People have been tired of it. I know, almost everybody on the planet would say, hey, this thing is a problem, but it's so big, it's so massive, you'll never beat it. And it's true, you'll never beat it. But what we can do instead of beating it is build our own game, our own thing to play. That we would play the way things are supposed to be played. You know what I mean? And that's what Bitcoin is. It's a banking system that nobody runs. It does not care of your race, your gender, your ethnicity, your political affiliation. It has no, it's just, are you a user? Great. Here's what you need to use this. That's it. Done. Engaged. Period. Point blank. Man, that's the value. That's the value.
So over the last 5 years, we've repeatedly argued that cryptocurrency key storage is clearly within the core banking activities. Come on, guys. No need to change history. This is what I'm telling these guys. No need to change history. What are you talking about? What last 5 years? They're saying that the last 5 years, they have repeatedly argued that cryptocurrency key storage is clear within the core banking activities. No. This wasn't the case. This wasn't the case.
No.
5 years ago, Bitcoin was a scam. Bitcoin was some kind of computer game money used by criminals only. And if you did anything with Bitcoin,
dude, yo, this is a complete lie. The banks have never endorsed the use of cryptocurrencies. It was for terrorists, drug dealers, sex traffickers. It's the reason why there's crime in the world. All right? This is for anarchists. This is for, outliers of society. This is just internet deep web money. That's all they would say. That's all they would say. Anybody dealing in cryptocurrencies must most probably be a criminal. Oh, people who deal in cryptocurrencies, they're just greedy and are trying to get rich off of making money out of thin air, money that's not backed by anything. Meanwhile, the banks are full of money not backed by anything, using, what do they call it? Fractional reserve lending, creating money out of thin air using contracts that have no backing whatsoever, all day, every day. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. And complete lie. And look how they lie. Look how blatant the lie is. Anybody, if you look, I've only been watching cryptocurrencies for the last 3 years, and in the last 3 years, the banks have been all over the world, have been vehemently against cryptocurrency because they know that it's the technology that'll put them out of business. All right.
You're not allowed into our nice castle. This is what happened, by the way. This is what happened. And now they're saying, hey, we told you guys all along 5 years ago that you should be in Bitcoin, you should be in crypto. What are you talking about? Guys, what are you talking about? Which Bitcoin 5 years ago? Which crypto 5 years ago? It's mind-blowing. But this is something that is very important. And they had this letter in 2016, but nobody really cared in terms of banking about this letter. All in all, this is very, very interesting news. Very, very interesting development. They are saying that in the future, people will use banks to store crypto because it's all about convenience, and they're saying that decentralization is a utopia that might not be reached. We're gonna see. They're saying multi-sig wallets and decentralized exchanges may one day make this safe-keeping and exchange services less dependent on centralized entities, but full decentralization is probably an unattainable utopia and maybe even an undesirable one. I don't know, guys. I mean, for you it is undesirable, of course. Of course, you want to be relevant. For many people around the globe, this may be very well desirable because you have your own money, you are your own boss. Now, some people, especially people who are used to the traditional banking space, they will want, of course, to use a centralized entity. So if you are from the newer generation, you are an internet native, you were born with the internet, then you understand more how digital assets work. You're more
So look, all right, so decentralized. So the banks are saying in this, according to the comptroller, is saying that global finance may not want, like the average everyday person may not want a decentralized economy, right? Like where the banks are not in control of your funds, right? And they're saying that the world may not want a decentralized world, right? And Ivan's right. The banks don't want a decentralized world. The banks' entire premise for their existence is centralization. Is that they are in control, they run it, they determine who can and who can't. They determine what's right and what's wrong within finance. Okay? And they do it at will. They shut down, they closed, I know Bank of America closed a gang of people's accounts because they bought cryptocurrency online. This is completely legal activity. Nothing illegal about it. They went to a US cryptocurrency exchange online, which was plugged into the US government and the KYC laws and all that, and used a US bank to purchase cryptocurrencies. Completely legal activity, and Bank of America would close their account because they did so. Just completely, just no warning, just say, oh yeah, we closed your account. You can't do that. That's it, period, point blank. So centralizing the power of finance is what they want to do. That's how they stay relevant. In decentralization, which is what the Bitcoin network is, even virtually many other cryptocurrencies, they remove that power from anybody. Nobody has that power. Nobody can say you can and you can't. You can literally do whatever you want with your money. And to be honest, like with the argument people have against cryptocurrency because they say that it's being used for crime, the US dollar by far, by an extremely large margin, probably more than 90%, is used for crime every day. Anybody can take cash and go do whatever crime they want to with it, and no bank can stop that at all. Okay, so to think that people won't want control over their money is asinine, and it is disrespectful. It's downright disrespectful for them to think you're dumb enough to not want that. Okay?
Confident in your abilities to store your own digital assets. Now, if you are from the older generation, you have a bit different mindset, then I understand that you may be more confident in storing on an exchange, but it's a very bad idea, and even storing in the bank is a very bad idea. So all in all, this is such a big news, guys. It's such a big news, it's mind-blowing how big of a news it is. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And look, the OCC recognizes that as the financial markets become increasingly technological, there will likely be increasing needs for banks and other service providers to leverage new technology and innovate ways to provide traditional services on behalf of customers. And look, even the exotic staking, I'm very interested in how this is gonna play out. That you can stake stuff. You can stake Ethereum, you can stake Cardano, all in your bank. It's going to be very interesting to witness. Now, obviously, it's worthless in comparison to DeFi. Why would you use a bank for staking? But who knows? Maybe they will make it nice for their customers, and some customers will see a point in doing it. One big
DeFi, just so you know, is decentralized finance. This is like platforms and applications that they have no control. They have no controller. There's nobody running it. They run on their own, and they operate in much of the same fashion that banks do. Some of them give you loans out. Some of them offer interest on money staked and whatnot, on cryptocurrency that's staked. And staking is basically like leaving it in an account. It's kind of like buying, it's kind of like putting into your 401k and you get a return on your investment, and minus a lot of the tax implications. At least those tax implications are extremely voluntary, and I encourage everyone to follow all the tax regulations in their country.
Big thing will obviously be the fiat on-ramp. That will be the fiat on-ramp. The fact that if you have dollars in your bank, I think it will be very easy for them to simply move into staking. For example, stake Ethereum or Cardano or Tezos, whatever he wants to stake. It will be very simple in the bank interface, in the bank app. So such activity is tiny in the context of the broader financial system, but it will be huge. It will be absolutely massive, but has become increasingly important in the crypto industry. All of this raises the question of whether banks will seek to build their own cryptocurrency divisions or seek to acquire some of the numerous crypto startups in the US.
Look, man, I mean, the smartest thing that a bank could do is get into staking. Staking is when you purchase cryptocurrency coins, whichever coins that allow staking, and you engage in a smart contract where that contract uses your coins on the network to verify transactions. And as as your coins are being used to verify transactions, they earn a profit. Man, if the banks had got into a coin like Neo back in 2016, whew, the amount of money they would be making every single day would be ridiculous. I mean, it would just, I'm talking the amount of money that they would make every single day would be probably, at least, I think, at least 6 to 7 figures. I think something like that. Maybe even like mid 7 figures, depending on how much each bank, put into Neo, purchase Neo for. The staking on Neo. I remember I saw Trevon James. He showed his wallet one time. He had 90,000 Neo, which maybe had a value of maybe 115,000 bucks, and he was getting probably 150 bucks per day just staking it, right? And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're dumping 20 mil, 50 mil, 100 mil into this, and you're getting a return every day, and your principal is still there. Your principal is still present. Like you can take that money out of Neo at any given moment that you wanted, but while it was sitting there, it's earning gas, which it would have been substantial. Okay, it would have been substantial. So anyway, yeah, that's it. We got bank FOMO. Okay, look, man. So many things have happened so quickly in the world of finance. We did not think that the U.S. interest rates would go down to zero this time anytime soon, but it happened. It's happening right now. We did not think that the digital dollar would rear its head probably for another 8 to 10 years, but in March 24th, 2020, they tried to sneak it into the stimulus bill. They're probably going to try in the future to do that. We're seeing a digital treasury bond pop up. That means that treasury bonds is how new money gets into the economy. So having a digital treasury bond would imply a digital dollar is on the way. And now we have basically a national decree that if you're a bank, you probably want to get into cryptocurrencies and providing services for crypto. And dude, who would have thunk? Who would have thunk it? Huh? Who would have thunk it? Andreas Antonopoulos years ago, he said that they're going to laugh at you. He's talking about the crypto space, talking about the world of traditional finance, towards the crypto space. First thing they're going to do is laugh. Second thing they're going to do is first they're going to ignore you. Then they're going to laugh at you. Then they're going to say that you're bad, you're evil, right? Then they're going to say that you're worthless, and then or something like that. And then they submit, they bow down, and they accept you. And that's what's happening today, man. You're seeing the beginning of cryptocurrencies being 100% accepted and embraced by the traditional world of finance because the traditional world of finance is going out of business. They cannot hold on any longer. They're on their last legs, and they have to transition into something which most likely is going to be cryptocurrencies. I mean, that's the only game in town that's worth playing anyway when it comes to global peer-to-peer permissionless banking systems. So yeah, sorry for this long video. Please subscribe to Ivan on Tech. Subscribe to our channel too, my channel too, Caravan Crypto. All right, but Ivan on Tech, man, if you're not following him, go ahead and check him out. But yeah, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you have a safe day. Hope you guys are all healthy and in the best of spirits. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.